Again, the format we'll follow is Coach Martelli will make an opening statement, then we'll take questions for the student athletes. They will be dismissed, and then we'll take questions for Coach Martelli. Again, raise your hand. We'll get you a mic for your questions. If you could state your name and affiliation before you ask your question, we'd appreciate it. Coach Martelli, you can begin.
First and foremost, congrats to Drew and his team. They played a hell of a game yesterday. They played a hell of a game tonight. Gave us everything we could handle for sure. But congrats to him. He's doing a great job there, and is a really good guy too, which sometimes you can't always sit up here and say that about the opposing coach. But Drew's a great guy and a great coach, and I've enjoyed getting to know him and competing against him, and look forward to for a long time. It's March, right? Like March, these games are going to be like this. It's not going to be pretty. And they asked me during the media timeout interview about the layoff, and honestly, I hadn't even thought about the layoff 1 second. It's just March. It has nothing to do with layoffs and any of that stuff. It's just, you got to go make the most winning plays, and I thought we made enough of them to win the game. And obviously, who we got? Mike and T. Hill. Those two guys made a lot of big plays for us. Obviously, our bench has been talked about quite a bit, over the year, and it's really, big time because of these two guys.
Questions for the student athletes. Just raise your hand. We'll get you the mic. We'll start on this side. Go ahead.
Zach Joaquim, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Mike and Terrence, congratulations
Richmond beat writer.
on the on the win, guys. I had to
These
go
guys
with both
don't know.
teams.
We
Okay.
have a good banner back and forth all the time.
16-3 run to close the first half. How did you guys flip this game? What did you like about what you did in that sequence that helped you take momentum?
I think it was just our intensity on defense and locking in on our scout. Coach was saying a lot of these guys are right-hand drivers, so we kind of wanted to take that away. When they got on their run, they kind of started getting to their strong hand. But, yeah, I think it was just our focus, refocusing when they got back on that run so we could just stay poised.
As Coach talks about, I think it was, our intensity and physicality that had to, step up from the start of the game, the first 4 minutes. And, that was one of our keys, be physical, be intense, and, make those extra winning plays. And, in tournaments like these, those winning plays come up big and definitely matter. So that was one thing that we had to change. Throughout the whole team, from the bench to, the players on the court, our whole intensity had to change. And, we were able to do that and respond like we have this whole season. So, yeah.
Dave, the back left.
Dave Mackel, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. How you doing, fellas? How much emphasis, if any, was put on the fact that Duquesne beat VCU 2 years ago in the championship game? Did anyone talk about that, or was that ever brought up?
Nah, nobody talked about it. Coach doesn't try to bring extra stuff to when we go into games. It was just another game for us. Obviously, we beat them at their place, so we know they're going to come out with an edge this game that we had today. So we just try to lock in on getting number one, like Coach said.
Mike, you were probably the only person in the program that was here for that, right?
He lost. He lost. I never lost to Duquesne.
Go ahead.
Marcus Larry, WVCW Sports. Terrence, it looked like you were just playing with unbelievable confidence out there with the mid-ranges and then that crazy deep three at the end of the first half. Like, where are you drawing that confidence from? Is that like from inside or from getting that externally from your teammates, coaches?
I think it's a little bit of both. I've always been a confident player. Even last year when I got my opportunity, I was getting the shots up, as you guys know. But just coach instilling a lot of confidence in me throughout this whole summer, throughout this whole process of I need to take big shots. Our team needs for me to take big shots for us to win. But, yeah, I think I'm just a confident person overall.
Back left.
Adam Epstein, 910 The Fan. Terrence, can you talk us through that play at the end of the half?
I was just dribbling, look at coach for the play call, and he was just like, go ahead. So I just dribbled it out. I got the switch. I hit Barry, and then he hit me back surprisingly. I thought he was going to shoot. It was like 3 seconds on the clock, so I just threw one up and it went down.
Good.
Matt Shelton, VCURamNation.com. Coach, they can throw it. They have a lot of big bodies they can throw at you guys. Other than just their size, what do they do to limit Lazar in the paint?
They were physical with him, as they should be, and really crowded the paint and nothing that we haven't seen. I thought it would loosen up when we made a couple threes early. I thought it would loosen up, but they did a good job kind of bodying him and then, making it hard for him on his catches. And then when he was getting there, really kind of walling him up.
Please direct questions to student athletes first. Thank you. Go ahead.
Come on, man.
Brian Elves, WVCW Sports. Michael, in that first half, you held it down in a lot of key areas, getting offensive rebounds, doing the dirty work. What does it mean for you to come into the game and do all the stuff that nobody else is willing to do and fighting hard for your team and making a bunch of winning plays?
I think this team is always willing to do the dirty stuff. That's VCU. That's what VCU is bred for. So I think having that edge, from past players and the history of the program, just trying to bring that along. And like I said, those winning plays come up big time in these tournaments. So I really just try to go out there and try impact winning and make a difference, tip the scale type thing. So.
Mike and Terrence, can I just ask y'all to talk about each other? Like, Mike, how much confidence do y'all have in Terrence in crunch time to hit those big buckets? And then Terrence, just talk about all of the ways that Mike contributes to this team on the glass defensively to help y'all win games.
Like you said, he does all the dirty work that people don't really want to do. I think he's our best rebounder when he gets in there. And we kind of built a connection over these last 2 years, even when we were in practice last year, going against, Zeb and all them guys just in practice, working on those short world passes and just getting our connection so I can free him up and he can free me up as well. But he's just a dog, man. He does everything. He does everything on the court. You want a floater, a three sometimes, a deflection, a big rebound. He's just going to do everything on the court. So I'm always confident when he's out there with me.
And that connection that we built, these past 2 years, that definitely plays a part. And I have total confidence in T Hill, and I was never really worried or stressing about them making a comeback, because I know, like, as a team, we've definitely dealt with a lot of the same situations this past season. So I think we were ready for that. But obviously T Hill's his talent and everything, it definitely brings confidence to myself and the whole team, and he's a big help for sure in crunch time.
Good.
Terrence, a lot of experienced players on last year's team led y'all to a championship. One, have you heard from any of those guys coming into this? And then two, just how different does it feel for you going from, hey, I've got Max, Zeb, Joe, and Phil to, I'm the guy now. How different does March feel now for you?
I mean, it's a lot different. Obviously, from being on the bench and being in the game is a lot different. But, yeah, some of those guys text me before the game. I talked to Zeb. He just told me to let the game come to me when I get in there, especially in this tournament time. But yeah, it's a big difference just being out there making the big plays. I kind of envisioned myself last year when I was on the bench making those big plays, seeing those guys make those plays. So it's just, I feel like my vision's coming true now, and I just want to keep staying poised and stay in the moment.
One last question for the student athletes.
Terrence, in that first half, you were distributing to your teammates really well, making a lot of high IQ passing plays, especially down low off the pick and rolls. As teams have had to adjust to guarding you, how has your vision come into your game?
I think I've always been an unselfish person. Coaches, he be getting mad at me a lot because I pass up a lot of shots. So I don't like that a lot. But I like to get my teammates going involved early in the game. So like when we talked about in the crunch time, it kind of opens up for me, and I can just see how the defense is playing me. But I have a lot of confidence in my teammates. They have a lot of confidence in me to make those passes. Like me and Mike Bill have a great connection. Me and Lazar, me and Barry. It's just a team. It's a team game. So if I'm not scoring, if I have 0 points and 10 assists, I'm happy with that as long as we win.
All right, thank you, fellas. You can head back to lockers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we'll open it up for Coach Martelli again. Raise your hand, and we'll get the mics to you. Good, Tim.
Coach, Tim Bench from Triple Live in Pittsburgh. The second half to open up, I think you guys only had 2 field goals in the first 8 minutes. Could you speak to what your defense did in that stretch to maintain the lead and continue to give yourself enough of a buffer so that Duquesne couldn't close it while you guys were struggling a bit in the offensive end?
Yeah, we had some defensive breakdowns there in that stretch, and they just missed some shots. But when we were playing it right, we were pretty good, and I liked our vibe on that end, our connection on that end. Again, like, we have to be built that way. Like, we've been talking about it since, couldn't even tell you how far back. Like, it's about our defense. That's what gets us going. Because then when we get stops, then we can get out and transition. That's where we're really dangerous. We can score in the half court, and we've been pretty good in the half court, but the game is better for us when it's out in transition and it starts with getting stops. So, we were really locked in. They were locked in on the scouting report. Again, there were some breakdowns. I thought, we gave up some shots, but I also thought we did a good job kind of wearing into some of those Duquesne guys into their legs. So now those shots, Ginyard had a wide open one that was short. I think it's because he had a play yesterday, and now we're picking him up 94 feet every play. So it all flows together.
Jake Kopsick, Mid-Major
Cope,
Madness.
what's up, man?
What's up, man? Coach, Terrence, when I talked to you in February, you called him a powder keg. So for him to come off the bench and then cap off that first half with that three, like, just how big was that for you when you had the early deficit and they were making
Yeah, I
those
saw
shots?
Bino Ranson, the St. Joe's assistant. They were sitting press row. I told him, make sure, they were scouting. I said, make sure you get that one drawed up and walk through, if they end up playing us. Like, it's just players making plays, right? Like, players making plays. And even late there, it was just like, yeah, I'd love to sit here and got all these things. Where's my sheet? I think I left it in the locker room. Like, all these things that, look great, but at the end of the day, it was get him in the ball screen and let him go, right? And he gets Lazar for a layup. He gets himself a couple shots. Obviously the shot at the end of the half, like, he can do that. And he's right. Like, I get more mad at him because he passes up shots. He passed one up late in the first half, and I'm like, just shoot the ball. Like, it came back to shoot the ball, right? And now he's a hell of a player. And he's proud. He made fifth team all. He told Jimmy, he said, "Do you think I made fifth team all defense?" I'm like, so I told him at one of the things when he lost one of those kids, I brought him over and I said, "I need fourth team all defense right now, not fifth team all defense."
Phil, I wanted to ask you just about the maturity of these underclassmen guards. I mean, we've talked about it a lot this year with Terrence hitting clutch shots for you, but Nick and Brandon clutch at the free throw line late in this game. What about their makeup intangibly has made you so confident throughout the year that they can handle those situations?
Well, they're serious dudes. They're serious dudes who work really hard. They care about the right things, and they show up. They are consistent every single day. I know when we walk out there for practice, I know what I'm getting from Brandon Jennings, what I'm getting from Nick Lewis. I know what I'm getting from Terrence Hill. I know what I'm getting from Ahmad Noel, too, right? Like, I know what I'm getting from those guys every single day. They're serious about what they do, and they work really hard. And because of that, they should be very confident. And because we've played a certain level of schedule on purpose, again, we could have run and hit. Like, there were people that looked at me like I was crazy. First year, you're going to play Utah State. You're going to play 3 games in the Bahamas. I mean, it was presented to me when I got the job. Like, you don't have to play. You could not go to the Bahamas. I'm like, we're going to the Bahamas. Who we got? We're going to go play those teams. All right, you could not play, NC State. Now we're going to play NC State. We did Utah State. It was presented to me. I said, yeah, let's do it. When and where? All right, it's going to be November or whatever. Yeah, because we're going to get tested. And, yeah, there's times that our fans were probably like, man, we lost a game, and oh, my God, and what? No, we're going to get punched in the mouth so that we're not punched in the mouth in March. And so that those guys could grow up. And they played really, really, really good players all the way through and held their own and held their own and held their own. And eventually there's going to be a breakthrough. And I think we've seen that over the last month and a half, 2 months. Like, I don't look at them and think like, oh, well, Nick made that mistake. He's a freshman. No, I'm like, Nick, don't make that mistake, right? Like, oh, Terrence, can he be in that position? He's only a sophomore. I don't think about that. I look at it and go, that dude can hoop, so let him go hoop, right? And because we've been tested all the way through.
Back left on the horizon.
Coach, Lane Castante
Lane.
from CBS 6 in Richmond. Earlier this week, you told the guys you're going to have to win games a lot of different ways. Is this game exactly what you had in mind when you said that?
Yeah, it's
this
March,
kind of
right? Yeah, it's March. And, you just got to find a way, right? These last 3 have really been like that. Like, we've played 3, tournament-level games, with George Mason at Dayton and now this one, right? Like, so you test yourself and you figure it out, right? Like, hey, we need more of this, we need less of this, we need to make this play down the stretch, and again, that's why we have tested ourselves the way we've tested ourselves, and in the conference too, right? We've played a really hard conference schedule. All the teams we played, teams we played twice are all, the top of the half of the league, like, for a reason. And, you know, yeah, like you're going to get these types of games in March, and we're going to find ways to win.
Marcus Larry, WVCW Sports.
I'm going to shout you guys out first in front of all these people. Like, our student media, we have a couple people back here, a couple of them here. Like, it's spring break. Like, they could have gone anywhere, and they came to Pittsburgh. They came to Pittsburgh. So I appreciate you guys for all that you do, for being here, for giving up whatever spring break plans you could have. Like, that says a lot, and we appreciate the hell out of that. We really do. We really, really, really do. These other guys and girls are getting paid to be here, right? You guys are here on your own dime. You know, as student reporters, being here is really awesome. So thank you guys. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, this was my spring break plans, so.
I love it. Mine too.
But there's a lot of championship experience on this team with the Pac-12 at Bryant, Atlantic 10. Does that, like, how does that help a team reach that game again?
Oh, it very much helps. I mean, you have to be there to really know what it takes, right? And we've talked about that. Like, we need that experience. And I've talked to you guys about this before, like that. Their own individual experiences have to become collective experience, right? And we got to draw on that together, that collective experience. Again, to what we've played throughout the year, the moments we've been in, the hard times, the good times, it all becomes collective experience. And right now, you know, we need everybody's individual experience to kind of come together and become that collective experience, because you're right. We've got guys that have done that, right? And you know, being able to focus on going and just getting number one. It was only about getting number one today. And now, as soon as we got in the locker room, it was, we need to refocus to go get number 2 tomorrow.
Coach, you touched on it briefly, Rich Tarlis, Alex Blorsden. Talk about Nick Lewis for a second. 9 points, 5 rebounds, most importantly, 0 turnovers. And do you feel when he's on the floor, your team's defensive effort, like, kicks up a notch?
Yeah, I thought his when Brandon got those fouls, his defense on Ginyard, you know, we had done a really good job on him. And now when he slid over and Brandon had the fouls and we had to, you know, he sat for a longer stretch. And I kept thinking, like, all right, we're going to have to get Brandon back. We're going to have to get Brandon back. And Nick was doing a great job. And he's a warrior. You know, he's a warrior. He's a winner. Again, he's another dude who's been around a lot of winning. He's been around a lot of winning through his high school grassroots career into now. He's been coached by the best. And, you know, we're reaping the benefits of that because he's just about the right things, and all he cares about is winning. Thank you.
We get time for 2 more. Ellis in the back.
Okay. Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thank
Ellis
you.
Cannon with Duquesne.
Hey, Ellis.
It was a run there at the end of the first half, obviously, for you, and then the first 5 minutes of the second half, Duquesne came out like their hair was on fire. Did you see the same thing, and how did you guys adjust to it?
Yeah, I mean, they're a very good team. You know, they're super well coached, and they got a lot of talent. You know, those 3 perimeter guys, Williams, and Ginyard, that sounds like a law firm, right? You know, but then you throw Dixon in there, and what he's able to give them is really dangerous. But, yeah, we know it. I mean, we knew they were going to make a punch. And the game was very similar to the game at their place where we talked about at halftime. Like, we made a run the end of that half to kind of get a comfortable lead at halftime. And then they came and kind of stormed back. So we knew it was coming, you know, and we had to weather that storm, you know, and take their best shot and then be able to throw that next shot back. You know, unfortunately, we were able to do that.
Okay, last question. Go ahead.
Coach, 2 quick ones. One, you said you had the option to not go to the Bahamas. I noticed your whole family was there, so I'm curious how much of a say your wife had in going to the Bahamas or not. And then the second question is, obviously starting is overrated. Terrence plays starter minutes, but I'm wondering how much have you battled with, do we start him? He's the most efficient player on the roster. Obviously, we see the punch. How much have you battled with? Do we just put him out there from the beginning, or he's hotter off the bench?
Well, first, she makes no decisions on scheduling. She has a hard time making a decision on, like, you know, do I turn left or do I turn right here? So if I threw her in the mix in scheduling and said, well, this means this, and this is a quad 1 and a quad 1A, a quad 1B, like, forget it. We'd be here all summer trying to put together a schedule. So, but no, she enjoyed Bahamas, I'll tell you that. Honestly, I have not wrestled with it at all. I like the consistency of what we've settled into. I like the consistency of him knowing, hey, I'm coming in this game. I like the angst that I feel coming from the other sideline when he goes to the table. I like that, right? And now it changes your whole dynamic. Like when teams walk through, when we do a walkthrough tonight of whichever team we're playing, you walk through the starters most of the time. You say, all right, we're guarding this action, and this guy's this guy, and that guy's that guy, and then boom, 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 boom. Well, with him, you got to account for he could be in there. Okay, is he in there for Lewis? Is he in there for Jennings? Is he in there for one of the wings? You don't really know. So, it's a way to kind of disrupt their scouting. And he's comfortable with that role, right? And watch, if he were starting, you'd be asking that question about, have you thought about starting Nick Lewis? Have you thought about Brandon Jennings? Have you thought about starting one of these other guys? And, again, I tell the guys in recruiting, and I'll tell them in the spring, I want to make sure that we have 7, 8, 9 starters on the roster. And we do. Because Mike Bell could be a starter, right? You could start Mike Bell. You could start any of these other guys and be pretty comfortable.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
I do want to say one quick thing. I really appreciate our fans. Everybody said to me between last night and the start of the game, oh, it's going to be like a road game. It did not feel like a road game. It felt like a home game because of our fans. And people didn't know how our fans travel. Our fans travel, and they bring it. And the Peppers, they really bring it. So I appreciate the hell out of them. And I appreciate the city of Pittsburgh with all that black and gold you got around. That was nice of you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Once again, we're joined by Duquesne. Coach Drew Joyce III will make an opening statement. Then we'll take questions for the student athletes. Then we'll get going. Go ahead, Coach.
Ready?
Yep.
Well, first and foremost, man, I think, that is important to give praise to my guys. No matter what the results show, I think they deserve the storylines, they deserve the accolades, they deserve the credit because they put the time, the energy, and effort into making this thing work. And not just them, our staff as well too. I just think it's important for me as I sit here to make sure that I give them their thanks because it's not possible without their commitment. And it's tough to commit to things, right? We're adults. We know that it's tough. It's tough to buy in. It's tough to give your all and wake up and go at it every day, especially when you don't know how things are going to play out, right? You don't know necessarily where the journey is going to take you, but guys like Dave, guys like Alex Williams, just you gotta love them. You gotta appreciate them. And I think that's like I said, regardless of the win, loss, that's the special part of my job that I get to stand in front of those guys. I get to work with them. I get to partner with them. I get to get on them too, and push them and motivate them. I get to love them too. And I tell our players that this. From my experience as a player, man, when you're in college, this is that moment where you find some relationships that go beyond basketball, and these guys will have that with me if they allow me to still be in their lives. Even if they don't allow me, I'm gonna find a way. So I'll be nosy and make sure I stay connected, and that's what, like I said, that's what I had a chance to experience as a player. And these are the things that I want them to be able to take away, that they got a group of teammates that should be brothers at this point. They got a staff of coaches that are going to continue to be mentors and leaders for them. And whatever happens, because, things get challenging, they get difficult. as you take the next step, as we all know. So they're going to need some support, some people to have their back, and I'll continue to do those things. So, like I said, I wanted to talk about them first. Listen, we could talk about the game. I'm sure you guys got questions, so have at it.
So questions for Dave and Alex? Just raise your hand. We'll get you the mic. We'll start out on the right side here with Tim.
For Dave and Alex, I know you guys worked really hard and made a lot of strides defensively throughout the course of the season from where you guys began. So, Dave, I'll pose this to you. Where do you think you guys grew the most defensively? And then, Alex, where did you guys maybe struggle a little bit more in the back 7 or 8 games of the season offensively to, bring the most out of that defensive effort that you made throughout the year?
I feel like in the beginning our transition defense wasn't really the best. We had a hard time picking out our matchups or running back to our matchups, so it kind of had us in like disadvantage. I don't know the word, bad situations. So I feel like that we improved upon, especially down the stretch. Getting back on defense better, sprinting back, especially with like guys trying to go to the offensive rebound. Usually went underneath the basket, and that puts us in a bad spot, sprinting back on defense. So we corrected that, and yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest things we worked on.
Yeah, beginning of the year, like Dave said, we weren't the best at transition defense. We weren't the best at communicating at a high level. We weren't the best at when the guys had making a lot of shots, it was kind of hard for us to contain them a little bit. And I think down the stretch, as we got through the depths of the season, I think that we started to talk a lot more, play defense the right way, start abiding by the scout more, listen to the coaches more. And yeah, I'm super proud of our guys. So, yeah.
Jack Morgan, A10 Talk. Dave, when it's all said and done, you get a chance to reflect on your 4 years here at Duquesne. What are some of the memories that you're going to be thinking about, and some of those that kind of hold near and dear to your heart as you leave this program?
I think my best memory would be holding up that trophy my sophomore year. I feel like that was one of my biggest accomplishments. Just being a part of that, working as a group, just winning. I feel like that's my biggest one. Maybe a couple of game winners here and there, but I feel like reaching the mountaintop was probably my best one.
Nick Fernbaugh, Duquesne Student Television. To both of you, things were looking bleak. You were down by 10, and you started fighting back, and you could hear the roar of the crowd from everybody. Can you talk, if you could say one message to every Duquesne fan who showed up today, what would that be?
We appreciate you so much. I feel like they've come out all year, no matter if we were away. I remember we were at George Mason, and we had a big, not student section, but a big section for us, cheering for us, and it was loud in there. So we appreciate y'all traveling with us and, just giving us never-ending support. And we can't thank y'all enough. So I know my boys are going to go get it done next year.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, for accepting me from when I was a freshman barely playing to now. And, I just appreciate all the love, and I really do.
Abby Schnabel, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Dave, at the end of the game, you walked out, but you came back out, and you had that moment where the fans were cheering, chanting your name. What was that moment like for you?
It was very emotional for me, Like, as soon as the game was over, I just wanted to go back into the locker room and just, put my head down. But, DA told me to come back outside, embrace the fans, and I feel like I should have done that from the start because, they've been there for me since I was a freshman. They've been there since the beginning, and, I need to show them love. And, never in a million years I thought I would hear them chanting my name like that. So it was just really emotional for me. I loved it.
Ben Deal, Duquesne Duke. To both of you,
VCU went on a huge run at the end of the first half, but you guys really stormed back, went on a 6-0 run, caused a whole slew of turnovers in the second half. What was the mentality like for both of you coming out of the half to be able to really climb back into the game?
Yeah, I feel like our halftime talk was pretty constructive. We played like our backs were against the wall, and we had like nothing to lose, and we just played grittier from the start of the second half. Yeah, it was just crazy just being out there and seeing how the game just kind of shifted a little bit in our hands, and us creating those turnovers and making a little bit of shots and trying to get it some momentum, and we just try to fight, and came up short. But I can't really be too upset about it because I know everybody did everything in their power. Everybody played hard. Everybody gave everything they had. So if we do that, then I'm cool with the result.
Hey, guys, I'll ask you a question about everybody. That would be the rest of the fellas who may not have played or played as much today. We all know these rosters flip and so forth. Talk a little bit about how far they came to the point where today, David, they were cheering and rooting and howling the whole game. In real time, what did that feel like, and what did it mean to both you and Alex out there busting your butt?
Every time I think, when you asked me that, it made me think about when you played 2 years ago in the tournament, and there was like barely anybody there. So having that big crowd around us just made it almost feel like a home game. Like the whole Pittsburgh came out to support us, and it was really, I really appreciated that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really have to come. They could have done something else. They could have watched it on TV, but they wanted to be there real time and cheer us on and support us because they believed in us. They believed in us as much as the coaches believed in us, and they wanted us to win as much. So they decided to come out here, and it means the world to us. It really does.
Matt.
Dave, go ahead. Go ahead, Dave. We'll come back to you, Matt.
Dave Mackel, Trib Live. Dave, you were on the NCAA tournament team 2 years ago. How close was this team to maybe being at that level?
I think they were better shooters. They made more of their shots, better at driving the ball. I feel like that team we played. That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like they were just better shooters, better at getting fouled. Refs were probably on their side. Who knows? I ain't gonna think too much. I've been getting screwed over by these refs for the last 4 years. I ain't gonna say nothing else about that. But they had the refs on their side. They got fouled. They went to the line more. But I didn't really see much of a difference, in my opinion.
Last question up here for Matt. Go ahead.
Matt Shelton at VCURamNation.com. Dave, in the era of NIL where people can move whenever they want, and you've been at a place for 4 years, I just wonder if you could talk about the value of staying at one place and those relationships for you of being at one place the whole time.
Well, when I made the decision to come here, I didn't really see myself leaving. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I could make something happen. I could make an impact here, build a legacy. That's what I thought. That's what I grew up watching on TV. Like when I was watching college basketball, I saw the same guys playing for the same school, and that was my mindset coming into college. So I'm gonna play for the team, try to win as many games as possible, try to make the tournament as much as possible, and just become a part of it. I felt that Drew had trust in me when Coach Nambar retired. Drew came to me, said he wanted me to play for him, asked me if I wanted to leave. I said no. I thought if we could win it again that next year. I had faith in him. He had faith in me, and I didn't think that. I didn't really think about leaving.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. You can go back to the locker room with your team.
Appreciate y'all. Been a pleasure.
We'll take questions for Coach Joyce. Right here, Tim. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt.
Sorry.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
did you have an?
All right,
I'm
I'll be
sorry.
quick.
Go ahead.
Coach, they shot over like 60-some% inside the arc the first time they played you guys. Today, you held them under 50%, made Lazar almost, not hitting his normal Lazar. How'd you guys do that?
Well, we played that game back in January, right, at the start of the conference. And like what we try to lean into, what we strive to get better at is to get better. The players talked about it. Hey, we had to, become a better defensive team, and you seen it on the floor today. Just how we were able to defend. I think they scored 93 points against us in game one. And listen, the game was still played at a good pace today. It wasn't like it was slowed down to a halt. But we improved in that area greatly of just some strategic things, but also from a mindset and pride. We just kept reiterating the fact that, listen, the way to win games is you have to be competent on defense, and we weren't at the time. We were just trying to outscore people, and that's always going to have its day. What you've seen today was just an improvement of a team, of players, of a staff just continuing to get better, because that's what you want to do. You want your trajectory going up, and I think if there's something that we can say about this season, no matter what the results are, like we had some rough spells, right? Are we continuing to get better? Are we continuing to take steps forward? I believe we're a much better team than, like you said, on January 2nd. So it was at the day we played. Maybe not. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Nathan Brysinger with Pittsburgh Sports Now. Your team came out strong in both the first and second half, but then things sort of fizzled. I think 7 or 8 consecutive misses from the floor in the middle portion of each half. I mean, what changed and what led to some of those empty possessions?
Listen, you have some bad possessions in there. Then you have some shots that you can make and you just miss, right? I thought in the first half our ball movement got slow and our pace got slow. In the second half, we got some makeable shots, right? We were down 3. I think we had three attempts from 3 that were really, really good looks we didn't make. We had chances around the basket as well, too. So you use the word fizzle like we, didn't make anything happen. Well, I guess in that sense, yes. But, I look at the game from a different perspective on what's actually taking place. Are we getting good? Is our progress good? Are we playing with the right pace? Are we getting good shots? It's make or miss. You're going to have to live with the misses too. The important thing is what you do after the miss, right? Because that's the game, right? VCU went through their stretches too. What do you do after the miss? Do you come down and get a stop, or do you fold, right? And in the second half, we were pretty tough.
Go ahead, Tim.
Just might be picking up on that theme. I remember after the Rhode Island game on the road, you talked about how well you played defensively in the first half, and the offense just wasn't there to pay off all the energy and effort you put forth on defense in the first half. Did you have that vibe, that sense with the way you guys were playing in the second half of this one, where you held them to just 2 field goals over the first 8 minutes coming out of the locker room?
Yeah. I thought, and he kind of brought it up, there was a segment in the first half that, we missed some shots. We had some possessions that could have been better. And when those things happen, the solution is you got to get tougher. And we found ourselves down by 10 points because we weren't tough enough, right? We didn't have enough grit to make sure that defensive possession is going to be better. So we flipped the table in the second half, regardless of make or miss, right? We made some shots during that run. We missed some, but we continued to get stops no matter what. So that's where you've seen the game change. And then from that point on, it's a battle, right? It's a 5-point lead to a 2-point lead to a 3-point lead. We traded some blows.
On this side, we get this side first.
Drew, when Dave talks about sticking with you through the coaching change and just everything you've been through with him, how gratifying is it to see that moment kind of sending him off with the fans really embracing him here?
Yeah, he thought he had a choice, but he never did. You know, it was supposed to happen. That's why, you know, I had the assistant coach go get him, right, and get the rest of the players as well too. You got to appreciate and embrace moments. It's tough, right? It's tough, but I don't think this is going to be the toughest moment that they go through. This isn't going to be the biggest challenge that they face, right? It hurts right now, right? There's a lot of pain because these guys are competitive, and we had opportunities to win that game, so it does hurt. But right, when things hurt, man, we can't shell up. We gotta stand tall. We got to find a way. We got to lean on people. We got to support each other, and that's what was needed, right? It was tough, but those fans, they wanted to show love, right? And that's gonna, like you said, it's gonna mean something, right? As this stings and it's painful, that moment's gonna mean something for him. We don't know how that pushes him forward tomorrow, right? Is that getting back on his feet because of a moment like that? So. Despite the loss, it was still something that, like you said, is gratifying.
Coach, with about 30 seconds left, Duquesne was trailing by 3, and TG lost the ball, forcing it up the court. What would have been your ideal execution of that possession? A quick 2 or tying the game with a 3?
For the rest to give me the timeout. The timeout that probably half the arena seen me jumping up and down for. That's the ideal situation that, you know, the refs have to, in that moment, they gotta notice that. They can't miss that, right? They can't miss it. Somebody has to have vision on me, right? I'm making contact with them. It's inexcusable at that moment. Like, hey, I didn't hear you, I didn't see you. You got to do better, right? That's their job. Their job is to see, right? I don't know if they take eye tests to make sure they're great at seeing or what, right? I don't know what they do for that skill set, but that is what they're supposed to do. I do know that they have to be able to see that, and they didn't. So if you want to know what my ideal situation would have been in a one-possession game, to be heard on that timeout, to be seen on that timeout that I was asking for, and then go back to the huddle and draw up a play.
Coach, good. Coach, as we've mentioned, Dave has most career games as a Duke. Just how special is it to have coached him and to have a really tight relationship with him for a player that's so influential to this university?
It's unbelievable, man. We're bonded, right? That's my guy, right? I had a chance. I never got to recruit Dave, right? He was already committed to here. But I remember the coaching staff, Rick McFadden, and those guys joking. He said, listen, when you call that guy, he's going to talk your ear off. And I was like, okay. Because a lot of young kids, man, they don't really know what to say, or, you know, you never know how their personality is going to come out. Sometimes they can shell up when they got to talk to adults, but not Dave. He had 1,000 questions. He had 1,000 questions, and, you know, he's been a joy and a pleasure to coach. He can light up a room. And it's been fantastic to just see his development, just from who he is as a person off the court to the things on the court too. You know, and I had to go in the process with Dave, right? And as you sit back, it's awesome to see it play out, right? Where I felt like I gave him more, and I gave him more trust, and he came to me and said, Coach, trust me more in his senior year. So just super excited for Dave, man, and what's next for him. I told him probably early in the year, I said, man, Dave, you're going to be a better pro than you are even here, because you're continuing to grow. I said, we're just now starting to use you, and your usage rate is going up. But the things that he impacts the game with, his defense, his versatility, his rebounding, his motor, you combine that with being comfortable scoring around the basket, and somehow, some way, he'll probably fix that jump shot a little bit and get it to go in. Usually when you shoot it enough as a pro, it just starts to happen. But I think he's got a bright future. Hopefully he stays healthy and can play the game of basketball for as long as he wants.
Two more. Ellis in the back.
Coach, congratulations on the season. You keep this as general as you want, assuming you want any of this, but there was a lot of conversation with the officials. Was there a common theme or something through the course of that game that was, particularly repeated or identifiable that you could talk about?
See the game. See the game. If you look at the stat sheet, which is right in front of me, and I don't know if you guys have stat sheets out there, there's really one discrepancy on the stat sheet, and it's at the free throw line. That's where they, listen, and credit to them. Like, I don't say that to say, right, VCU didn't earn their fouls, right? Maybe they did in the way that they seen it. I thought they competed. I thought they drove the ball tough. I thought they got to the boards. But I believe we did too, right? And we got 32 points in the paint as well too. We got 32 points in the paint. So it wasn't like we didn't live there. We made sure the ball got there. I just was encouraging them to see it. So I had to have a lot of conversations until they did, at least some of it.
Last question?
More than I would have liked to.
Go ahead, last question.
Coach, Josh Imhoff, Duquesne Duke. Whenever you lose a veteran presence like Dave and a leader like Dave, I imagine that leaves a bit of a void in the locker room. How do you plan on handling that void, and how do you plan on filling it? And then also, what do you think will stick with the players who have been around Dave now that he's gone?
That was like 5 questions in one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so, I'll start here. To lose a presence like Dave, that can't be taken lightly, right? That is a big void. And it's happened over the course of the years, because I think we've done a pretty good job of retaining our players, right? If you think back, to having Jimmy and Day-Day stay for their second year. The transfer portal was open then too, right? But we had Trey Williams, he came back again, right? So we go from having all of those guys back on the roster to losing them. And there's a young crop of guys, a Kareem Rozier, a Dave Dixon, a Jakob Netchis, a Jake DeMichael. And it really becomes, how's your program really, right? What type of culture are you leading? Do you have guys that can step up in those roles? And then you got to be able to keep them, right? That's important as well too. But what we try to build with our culture is so that void that you're speaking of isn't just an empty hole, that we're able to have Jakob step in there, right, and bring that same type of pride, that same type of impact, right, of wearing this jersey for 4 years. Jake DeMichael in that same breath of wearing this jersey, right, because those guys know what the standards is. They know me. They know what I expect, and they help bridge the gap. There's going to be changes that happen on every roster. It's inevitable. Guys leave. It's always been that way, right? Even before the portal, right? You have a group of seniors leave. Who's stepping up next? And that goes a long way into your standards. What are your standards of excellence? What are you preaching every day, right? How are you empowering the next group of guys to be ready? What's your development like? So we spend a lot of time in that regard, in that area, as far as the leadership, but as far as, getting better as basketball players. And hopefully we have some young men that are ready to step into that role.
All right. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your basketball season.